Hey guys, I hope you're doing all right, and I hope that you had a good and restful weekend. So, in history of the Catholic Church, we just finished a little section on the Enlightenment. We're getting to post-medieval times and closer and closer to uh, modern time and modern Christianity, which is where we'll end the history course. And what we just finished up with the Enlightenment kind of showed you the way secular society was going at the time, and also kind of some of the ways that Christianity responded. So we had first the Protestant Reformation, then kind of a Catholic response, um, and the Church's own Reformation, and then after that, the Age of Enlightenment, and once again, just another thing Christianity had to respond to. And so we see a little bit of a pattern here where Christianity is always trying to respond to the times. And Christianity even kind of develops, we're given this opportunity to ponder and do some internal reflection on what our church is in the world and on how we're supposed to respond to issues of modern times, but also how we're supposed to grow with modern times. And so I think the way that we grew the most in the Enlightenment period was um, in kind of this resurgence of reason bolstering faith, reason upholding faith, um, and how in our church we need this balance between reason and faith. Um, and I think also, um, you could write a whole book just about this simple conclusion, but I think it's important to understand that responsible religion requires a scaffolding of reason. I'm going to say that again because I'm trying to think through it as I say it. But responsible religion requires a scaffolding of reason. Okay, and so what do I mean by that? If your religious precepts are unreasonable, then you're not being responsible. You're not being what a human being is supposed to be, right? And so the faith that you have must also, in some sense, be reasonable. And it is reasonable to have faith, right? It's reasonable to understand that God is beyond us, and what He desires for His church is beyond us. But at the same time, if we encounter things that are unreasonable, for example, that there would be many gods, or that God would command murder, as we see in some of the other world religions, right? These are simply unreasonable precepts and therefore not responsible religion, right? And so, in an age of enlightenment, this should be something that Christianity can use, that Christianity can utilize, right? We can learn a lot about what it means to be human and what it means to be faithful by the use of our human reason. But we have to acknowledge that faith and religion still go beyond our human reason. And so I hope you can see that balance a little bit, and you can see how, I think it's just pretty cool how the church can respond and can develop according to the needs and the signs of the times. And so what this brings us to, kind of our next little segment, is uh, what has been entitled liberal Christianity. Okay, so what is liberal Christianity? And there are a lot of people still living this way today. So the Enlightenment did kind of two things, being post Reformation. First of all, it created this kind of, I would say it set the foundation stones for atheism, right? It set the foundation stones for this uh, widespread atheism that the world has never seen, because in a sense people thought that reason had left God behind. So that's one path that we've already discussed a little bit. Another path was um, there were a lot of Christians and a lot of spiritual people that were turned off by the church. In the time of the Reformation, and specifically in the abuses of the Catholic Church, many Christians came to a point where they said, you know what, I believe in God, right? I'm not an atheist, but I don't need the church, right? You get these ideas that the church is binding, that the church is only there to condemn sinners, and that that's not really helpful to anybody's flourishing. Right? You get these ideas that the church is superstitious. These ideas that the church was created by humans, right? I think that's the essence of the idea of liberal Christianity, or also known as being spiritual but not religious, is that humans created religion, and therefore it is as flawed as humans are. It is as fallen as humans are, and we don't need the church. All we need is God. Okay, so you can see where liberal Christians are coming from. You can see where they can kind of conceive this idea of the church being negative, the church being evil, at least as evil as the world, and how, if I can just have my relationship with God, then why do I need religion? And maybe you guys have encountered this today. Maybe you guys have seen how widespread this idea is that I'm going to be faithful but not religious. I'm going to believe in God, but I don't need to go to church. And one of the reasons that I think this stance is lamentable is to say that, and I guess, I could go through each point and kind of, I could kind of reasonably give some kind of argument against each one, but I'll just go through some of the main notions um, of where the Catholic Church stands on this position. So first of all, if all religion is a set of binding rules and the condemnation of sinners, then of course it's bad. I agree. Right? That's not a good thing. But I don't believe that that's what religion is. Right? It's not what religion is. Religion is the fostering of communication between God and man. Religion is God's manifestation to humanity and His covenant with us. Religion precisely is the place where we come to meet God face to face. We will be His people and He will be our God. Okay, so religion from the beginning of time has been the kind of focal point of God's relationship with man and vice versa. So obviously religion is faith and religion is relationship. That's what it is first and foremost. Why do we have these outward practices? Why do we have this hierarchy of priests? Why do we have to listen to the priests? Why do we have to go to mass? Why do we have to do all these things? Why does the church condemn us if we don't? So to say that the church is of human origin, or humans created the church, is also a misunderstanding. Humans did not create the church. God did. God gifted the church to humanity. Right? And he did so through His own word, through His own dictations, through His own communication to humanity, all the way up until the point of where He actually sent Jesus. This is God became man, specifically to establish religion. And it was no human endeavor, right? I know that God became human, but this is God, right? And the church has divine origins as such. So to think that our religion is the product of humanity is just false. It's not true. Religion is a product of God's intervention in in the fallen human world, right? It's God's intervention, and so religion and church as gift is an important prerequisite to understanding why we have all of these practices and why the structure of the church is situated the way that it is. All of these things that the church prescribes for us are specifically because they are good for us. Right? It's like the medicine of the world. It's the reason of the physician that has given us all of this. Right? The church is the way it is because this is what human beings need in order to be healed, in order to be faithful, in order to be happy. Right? So when we see religion as a gift, and we see also from the Age of Enlightenment that there is both faith and reason within a religion, then we can start to trust our church more. We can start to trust its precepts and maybe even follow them with more devotion, right? Because that is our goal, is always to become more devoted to our church. Right? So as Catholics, we are not spiritual but not religious. We are spiritual and religious. Please let me know your thoughts. Anything that you have to share, let me know. I'm here for you. God bless.